Um, after we bid a project for IDOT or most municipalities, after the award, then you normally have 15 or 20 days to get your subcontractors lined up, to get your bonding in place, to get your insurance in place, and those types of things. And then you have to start the project. So again, it may not be something like if you're building a part of a subdivision or building a home for somebody, you tell them, well, when I finish this home, I'm going to start on your home. The state doesn't, they don't buy that type of thing. What they say is, you've bid it, here's the date, 20 days later you're going to start the project. So as a highway contractor, you have to have a lot of flexibility in both your workforce and in the equipment that you have. I want to talk about prices for just a little bit, and of course the hot topic today is the price of a barrel of oil and the price of a gallon of gasoline. I also want to look though at reinforcing steel and at cement because again, those products affect your vertical construction just as much as they affect our horizontal construction. Petroleum asphalt, which is what is in this jar, is a derivative of a barrel of oil, and I want to refer to these things for just a second, the handouts. And originally, petroleum asphalt, this product, used to be a residue of oil production. So if you look at the little chart that I have here, and on the left-hand side you see sand and water, then you see petroleum down here at the bottom of the well, and then you see gas, and that gas is not gasoline, that gas is natural gas. So if you've driven through an oil field south of Mattoon, you oftentimes see flames coming up from the oil wells. Well, that's the natural gas that's being burned off. So then it goes into the refining process, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this page, but it shows light distillates, medium distillate, heavy distillate, and then down here it has residuum, and it shows asphalt cement. Well, that's pretty much the way things used to be. Now I want to go to the second page and show you kind of how things are today. After they get the crude oil, it goes into the crude tower over here, and they start, what we say, they start pulling things out of the oil. The first thing they pull out is gasoline, and I think it's no secret that the petroleum companies make more money on gasoline. And one of the things is you can look at the temperatures over here, 60 to 325 degrees Fahrenheit during the production process. So it's easier to get gasoline off. So the first thing they pull off is gasoline. The next thing they pull off is naphtha. Naphtha is used in a lot of chemicals that we, cleaning fluids and chemicals that we use. That's the next thing that comes off. Then kerosene, which produces jet fuel and heating oils. Your lighter oils such as maybe number 2 diesels and things like that would be here. Then your light gas oil, and then you see a thing over here called cracking, and I'll talk about that in a second. Then you get down to heavy gas and oil, and the heavy oils would be the number 6 fuel oils that are used in factories, particularly up north, for heating those major factories. They don't use number 2 diesel. They use heavy oils, number 4s and number 6s. Then you see this thing over here called a vacuum tower, and that's something that's well, not relatively new, but something that is a very expensive addition to a refinery, and so you don't see a lot of that. But when they send something through a vacuum tower, they're actually able to extract more gas and more oil off of it. But then also you see down here where it says it goes to pitch, resins, asphalt blend stock or coker feed. That's extremely important because what has occurred, and I think that it probably began in World War II when all of a sudden we needed to have a lot more silks and nylons and rayons. And if you recall, a lot of the silks came from Asia, and the Japanese had conquered a lot of Asia. So we needed things to make parachutes, we needed things to make uniforms and packs and all of that type of thing. So the oil industry tried very diligently to extract more things out of the oil. Well, they've now done such a good job of it that if they put it through a coker, then liquid asphalt or petroleum asphalt is not a product anymore. So there are some refineries in the United States that, that don't produce asphalt. Obviously, that's a serious thing for those of us that are in the asphalt business. And then I had this on here, and I just wanted to show you just for a second that oftentimes you hear people refer to asphalt and tar interchangeably, and that's not the case. Tar that is oftentimes used on roofs and that type of thing, you hear coal tar pitch, that's a product that comes from coal production, not from asphalt production. So that's all that I wanted to touch on that. But so in other words, what is occurring in a barrel of oil is they're taking off all these products, and in some instances, petroleum asphalt is not going to be a byproduct. So we have the petroleum companies becoming more sophisticated. We have liquid asphalt not as plentiful as it was, and we also have a barrel of oil increasing substantially in price. So all of those things have gone together to drastically increase the price of petroleum asphalt in the last 2 or 3 years. The next thing that I want to talk about is the fact that in the United States we have not built a refinery since the mid-70s. So none of you were born, I don't believe, I'm sure, well, maybe the 3 people standing up here, but none of you were born at the time that a refinery was being built in the United States. So we have tremendous demand for petroleum products. We've got refining systems that are changing, and we don't have any additional capacity. This capacity problem is serious. There's a lot of people in the world, a lot of experts, that don't think we have an oil shortage at all. What we have is a refining shortage. We are not doing a lot about it in the United States, and as I said, we haven't, because refineries tend not to be very clean, and a lot of people, quote, don't want them in their backyard. Saudi Arabia is building a couple new refineries. There's other places in the world that they're building new refineries, but the United States is not one of them. I think the refining shortage is going to be an extremely serious problem going forward, and I don't see it being corrected. If somebody started a refinery in the United States today, started building it, it would probably be 10 to 15 years before it ever came online, by the time they got the regulatory approvals. As far as a ton of liquid petroleum asphalt at our plant, I looked up some prices. Normal asphalt, not anything sophisticated. In July of '04, it was $175 a ton. In October of '05, it's $200 a ton. And in '06, they're predicting $250 a ton. So that's how the price of oil or of liquid asphalt has increased.
Now, if you bid something for DOT, for example, at a certain time, and these things happen, and gas, oil prices went soaring.
If most of the petroleum companies today, if we are able to tell them what our need will be in '05 and what our need will be in '06, they'll guarantee the price. If, however, we miss those projections, then they won't guarantee anything over that. You're going to pay market price. There is an effort afoot for the first time that I can ever remember of trying to say that they will only pay market price. That hasn't gone very far. ConocoPhillips has kind of made that shot across the bow, but the rest of the refineries are not going down that path. So if we have a project like we do that are a 2-year project, they'll tell us what to use to bid in the first year and in the second year.
What if you say you need more? Do you still have to buy that? Or?
If it's in that first year, you know, that's not normally an issue. They will sell it to you at the price they agreed to. In other words, if you are ahead of schedule, that has not been an issue. Where you really get in trouble, and we had a project, it's been several years ago, but in this part of the country, this is not a very good area to really build roads because the topsoil is so thick. We were building a highway, Interstate 72, west of Springfield, and the dirt contractor ran into a bunch of peat bogs over there that had to be totally excavated 8 to 10 foot deep and more dirt brought in. So instead of our laying the asphalt in the fall of one year, it was the fall of the following year. The petroleum company would not stand the price, and so it cost us a tremendous amount of money.